Hello people, it's that time of week again, and this week we're doing On Palestine by Noam Chomsky and Ilan Pappe. Now we've covered these guys before. Both of these people have done work together in Gaza in crisis, so this is essentially pretty much the same thing. The only difference is this is, as opposed to Gaza in crisis, which was a collection of writings from them both put together and made into a book, this is essentially an interview. Most of it anyway is from Frank Barat, who's the journalist who's interviewing these two intellectuals on Palestine. And it really tells, again, it's a very good companion piece to Gaza in crisis that we've covered before, because it really details some of the Israeli crimes towards the Palestinian people and how they are committing atrocities that violate international law, that completely ignore UN resolutions, and that should be condemned the world over, but are not, because Israel is quite friendly with the United States, the United Kingdom, the West in general. They've got quite warm relations with them most of the time. The only time they ever come really close to being frosty with the US is when people like Clinton, for instance, stood up to them a little bit, didn't outright condemn them. No US president has ever explicitly condemned Israeli tactics towards Palestinian people, which include cutting off construction, which include cutting off medical aid and water and food, and include electricity. The Palestinian people have got no electricity for, I think it's 23 hours a day, something silly, which include cutting off all that kind of stuff, which include aerial bombardments on an area that is landlocked. The Palestinian people cannot go anywhere. It is landlocked. They go over here, they got enemies. Over here, they got enemies. From Israel, they got enemies. So they can't go anywhere. They're landlocked. Many of these people have lived in this area their entire lives, arguably their parents' lives and their grandparents' lives. So they're not going to want to leave their home for generations anyway. And they're being bombed and they're being sniped. And any protests are being brutally, and I mean brutally, crushed down. And I don't want this to go into a political statement of any kind, because this is a book review. But it is all detailed here. If ever you've heard me say anything about the Israelis, if ever you've heard me say or detail anything that happened to the Palestinian people, it's arguably in here. Go ahead and pick it up. If you're interested in Israeli-Palestinian relations or Israeli, arguably, war crimes, go ahead and pick this up. This is definitely worth a read. In fact, I'd urge you more to pick this up if you're pro-Israeli, if you're a defender of Israel. Go ahead and pick this up, read it with some objectivity and learn the other side's argument, because this is what we're talking about. When we say Israel is a terrorist state, when we say Israel is committing war crimes, when we say Israel is criminal, this is what we're talking about. We're not talking about Jews. We're not talking about being anti-Semitic. We're not trying to say the Jews have no right to a secure place to live. We're trying to say this is what's happening. This is what the Israeli government, not the Jews, the Israeli government of the day is doing to the Palestinian people, and it has been doing throughout history. Go ahead and pick that up. That's On Palestine by Noam Chomsky and Ilan Pappe. I'll see you in the next one.